Hey YouTube, Denster274 here. I just had a rather pleasant day at the range, and on the way back I was thinking about sharing a bit of information with some of you folks out there that may be like me, aficionados of double rifles. Well, first of all, let me give you a little background. I'm an old guy. I grew up on Hemingway and Rourke and Capstick, and thoughts of going to Africa, with a big game double rifle. Well, of course, that never came to pass. But I've always had an interest in side-by-side double guns, be they shotguns or rifles. About 5 years ago, I was in the market for a side-by-side shotgun for cowboy action shooting. In particular, I decided on one of the European American Armory imports from Baikal in Russia. They called the Bounty Hunter II. It had a good reputation for being built like a tank, and I wanted it in 20 gauge to cut down on the recoil, because you're doing a lot of shooting in cowboy action shooting, and a 12 gauge, even with light loads, can get a little bit awesome after a while. Well, I found one at a local gun show, and my trip on the way home took me right by one of the ranges I belonged to, and I had some shells in the car, so I stopped to give it a try. Well, I couldn't resist putting a few slugs through it just to see what it would do. Now, I've done this before, mostly with 12 gauges, and they don't shoot anywhere close to the point of aim. However, I was extremely surprised when at 25 yards, right and left from the 20 gauge, were touching. A little more experimenting with different loads indicated to me that this was a pretty good indication that I had something going here. So I tried some more slugs, Remington sluggers and Winchester Buster style slugs also, and all the way back to about 50 yards, just using the bead sight, and it was still shooting like a double rifle's supposed to shoot, so I put a set of rifle sights on it. That really impressed me. With either the 3/4 ounce Winchesters or the 5/8 ounce Remington sluggers, I could get easily 2.5 inch groups at 50 yards. That's rights and lefts. And the standard for an English double rifle is 4 shots in 4 inches at 50 meters. That's 2 rights and 2 lefts. So the EAA Bounty Hunter was doing better than that. My brother and I had a wild boar hunting trip scheduled down in Tennessee, so I took that along, and both of us managed to score, on wild boar down in Tennessee with the Bounty Hunter 20 gauge. Excuse me. After that success, my brother decided he just had to have that gun, so I sold it to him, and I bought another EAA Bounty Hunter II. To my surprise, well, not so much to my surprise, because modern side-by-side shotguns are laid up on jigs and then induction brazed together, so one should be about the same as the other within the same make. Anyhow, the second Bounty Hunter, which I've got here in front of me, shot just as good as the first one. And I was just really impressed with it. Now, about the same time, Remington had entered into a contract with Baikal to import the same guns under their Spartan brand with just a little better fit and finish. So I bought one of those. That's the one you see with the silvered receiver, and lo and behold, it shot just as well as the rest of them. I've owned a couple of others also that friends of mine just had to have, and I sold. All total, I've owned 6 myself, and all but one of them shot perfectly with slugs. The one that didn't was only a little bit off, but it just wasn't satisfactory. A friend of mine has owned 3 more and set them up the same way, and all of them have shot just wonderfully with slugs. Now, this is the Bounty Hunter II here. By the way, just a tip. This also comes in a 12 gauge, as does the Remington SPR 220. However, don't even bother to try it with 12 gauge. I decided to give it a whirl, but like all 12 gauges, the barrels were too light, and the left barrel shot way left of point of aim, and the right barrel shot way right of point of aim, basically about 7 to 8 inches apart at 25 yards and much more than that at 50. So the 20 gauge is the way to go. This just has a Williams guide rear sight on it. I made a front ramp for it, and it has just been a joy to shoot. Not to mention that the SPR, I didn't put sights on. I just used the bead sight with slugs, but it makes for an extremely handy all-around game-getting gun. It's light, easy to handle, terrific for early dove season, squirrel hunting, all small game. They come with screw-in chokes. Now for slugs, generally I just leave the improved cylinder in both barrels. But it does come with the screw-in choke, so if you wanted to use it for, say, ducks out of a blind or something, you could put the full chokes in. However, this I can, even just using the bead sight, I could keep them on minute of a deer at 50 yards. So that's no problem at all. Just let me show you a couple of targets here from my range trip. This was at 40 yards, and this is an 1 3/4 group. That's 2 rights and 2 lefts with the Winchester 3/4 ounce slugs. These 2 holes down here, I had my KSG with me and I was just checking my zero. I have the Bacal sighted in, point of aim at 75 yards. That's why it's a little high at 40. And to show you that it does real well with both Remington and Winchester, this is a 2.5 inch group shot from 60 yards off of shooting sticks. By the way, the 40-yard group was offhand. This is off of shooting sticks, and it's 2 Winchesters and 2 Remingtons. You'll see they shoot to pretty much the same point of aim, and that's a 2.5 inch group at 60 yards. I kind of limit myself to 75 yards with the Foster style slugs. They get a lot of bad rap, but within their range, which is 75 yards and closer, they hit like the hammer of Thor. I'll tell you, the 2 hogs we shot down in Tennessee, the one I shot at 40 yards, my brother shot his at 15 yards. They went down with 1 shot and barely twitched. So it was quite impressive. One thing you do want to have with you when you go to the range with one of these, and that's a cleaning rod with a tornado brush on it. Foster style slugs, one of the drawbacks is they are dirty and they will lead your barrel. So every 10-15 shots or so, you want to run the tornado brush through and clean some of that lead out. It cleans the barrels up really, really well. Anyway, well, I said this is a poor man's double rifle. Obviously, it's not a rifle, although it's, shooting rifled slugs, so we won't pick nits on the semantics. But it does satisfy the urge for a double gun, that shoots a rather large bullet and is a lot of fun to own. Anyway, thanks for watching.